Hello everybody. Welcome to Networking with Nathaniel. This is episode 5. I have the pleasure of talking with Carlin here today. She's been crushing it inside the sub 2 community for a while now. It's been probably a year, I think, since you and I met, maybe.
Yeah, it's been about a year. Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's pretty crazy. I feel like you've just been going up and up and up, and I love that. Because I like being on, I'm gonna write your coattails to the top. Um,
Dude, let's do it.
Carlin and her husband James, who's in the Air Force, have been investing for a while now. They're the proud parents of 4 human babies and 4 furry dog babies. Uh, if I'm leaving any other babies out, let me know there, Carlin. I
We've
don't
just
know.
got fish. We've got
Oh
fish.
yeah,
Does that
that's right.
count?
You did say that the little boys just dumped all the fish food in the fish tank this morning. So, um, tell everybody, just give a quick intro here, what you got going on, Carlin. Like, what keeps you busy on a daily basis?
So, first and foremost, what's keeping me busy, I'm actually partners with Jesse Stanton for our company called The Growth Co. So, it's a coaching program. We focus a lot on like the little tiny details that are happening within business that really kind of get looked over. So, things of like why social media branding's important, why having relationships is vital to business. So, I've had that conversation probably like 3 or 4 times this morning alone, honestly.
Okay.
Why having a growth mindset is vital to not just business but life overall. We talk a lot about time blocking and how to manage your schedule, how to make that relevant to your avatar. A lot of just the really nitty gritty details that mostly just get overlooked when
Yeah,
you
I
go
get
into
brushed over.
business and you think it's just going to skyrocket.
Yeah.
So that is easily what keeps me most busy. James, my husband, is actually partnering with Chris and Jesse on some other things. So we're starting to get our portfolio going and we're really, really, really excited about that. We've had, gosh, I don't know, I think 5, 6, 7 deals alone fall through this year and that gets really discouraging.
Yeah.
So having to overcome those hurdles and really keep our momentum for what we're trying to do and achieve, that's been another big thing we've been focused on.
Yeah, I bet that especially when you're really close to the finish line, it can be discouraging and disheartening when a deal falls through. And a lot of the times it's stuff that's, if not most of the time, it's stuff that's like out of your control. Like I didn't know that the seller was going to die a day before the closing was supposed to happen. And that's kind of morbid, but yeah. How
Yeah.
long have you been doing the coaching with Jesse? Because that's something new to me.
So we started that. We had our first cohort in April, and we are actually starting our third cohort in today. We started it today,
Oh,
so we had our systems up and running this morning.
that's exciting. How does if somebody out there wants to get into that world with you, how would they go about that?
The best way to start that would be by reaching out to myself or Jesse Stanton.
Okay.
We also have 2 people that work on our onboarding team, and they are the 2 people. This is Axton.
Yeah.
They
I
are the
told you,
two
mother of 4
people
here.
you would want to reach out to would be Jeff McGrew.
Okay.
He's a fabulous person. And then Joel Shilpy, actually.
Oh, I'm not familiar with those two. But
They're fabulous.
okay, but I'm gonna definitely reach out to them as well because
Yeah,
they're gonna be featured on Networking with Nathaniel episode 9 now.
they're
Yeah. Yeah.
great.
Well, what is it that you guys when you and your husband are, closing the deals, what does a typical deal look like? Like where is it? What's the your kind of buy box looking like?
Um, that's
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. I know. So we thought that it was going to be New Mexico, Wisconsin, and the typical states, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida,
Okay.
like the areas most of us are targeting.
Hmm.
Needless to say, we are closing on 6 doors in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
so at this point, as long as we can do the research and the numbers make sense and we can figure out how to really move that deal forward, we're not really being picky. We are looking for turnkey properties. We're not really in
Okay.
the business of fix and flip right now.
Yeah.
Um, and the way we're underwriting it has to cash flow as a long-term rental for us to consider other options.
Okay. I love that. And I've heard good things about Kentucky as a landlord state.
Yeah, and Kentucky just in general is absolutely beautiful. Like it's incredible how pretty that place is.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if we talked about it previously, but I was in the Marine Corps and I did 3.5 months there when I was learning how to work on tanks. That's where all the tanks are.
that's a little,
Yeah, she knows the
yeah.
yeah. Um yeah, how are you juggling all this, Carlin, between your coaching, your investing, and the four children who clearly you have good communication with?
Ultimately, I think the one thing I needed to hear when I was first starting out is there's not balance.
Hmm.
That is it sounds harsh almost, but to anticipate that things are not going to go your way. Um, Ideally, this little guy would be chilling in his bedroom with his older brother who is out screaming in the living room right
I
now.
can barely hear him now that you mention.
Perfect, as long
Yeah,
as it's barely.
yeah.
Um, Ultimately, I keep a day-to-day schedule. So I have things that have to get done. I have things that I would like to get done, and I have things that I will not be hurt if they don't get done.
Okay.
And then I separate that schedule into what I need to do for a business and then what I need to do in my household.
I love that.
So, yeah, so ultimately it comes down to just being very intentional about the way I manage things and realizing that most things in the day are going to be out of my control.
I yeah. Sometimes you just get caught in the whirlwind, but I like that you're prioritizing like needs, like must get done today's, like hope to get done today's, and like these are on the horizon, kind of get done today stuff. How are you like are you doing a daily like recap? Is that something that you do with James? Is that something that you do personally? Like what does that kind of look like?
So he and I have a business together. We operate, our wholesaling and stuff like that together. So we do a lot of communication about that. But as far as me personally, I know, as far as me personally, I have very extensive notes. I keep track of everything I do during the day. And
Okay.
the reason I do that is because it's really easy to get discouraged. So even if I do something as simple as make my bed, that gets written down in my accomplishments.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So I like keeping track of every little thing I do. That way, at the end of the day, it doesn't feel like I haven't accomplished anything. I can look back and really see everything I've done, everything I've succeeded at. I'm a firm believer in writing down gratitudes and affirmations. So that's something I do every single day.
I love that. Yeah, I have fallen a little bit off the morning gratitude wagon since I don't know, can you see? I
Got busted finger?
yeah, I tore the tendon that goes to the distal here, and so it's yeah, it's kind of like that. I can't straighten it. So I don't write as much as I was 6 weeks ago. Um, but the gratitude is an amazing thing, and it's something that my wife and I do every night at dinner, like 3 to 5. Just think about what you did today. Think about things that happened to you today. And what are you grateful for? It can be as simple as just like, I'm grateful that the kids are quiet right now while they're eating you know
Yeah,
I love the writing down the things that you've accomplished as minute as making your bed is. You're able to look back and go, man, I did crush today. And you do that every single day, and that that really like steamrolls for sure. um
it's I think it's really important because it's very easy to get wrapped up in all of the things that go wrong.
mhm,
And that's what a good majority of people are doing is they're like, man, like they could have the most beautiful day and one thing goes wrong and it just spins everything out.
right.
But when you can actually physically go back and look and see, hey man, I did do this, I did accomplish this. Even if I just made my bed, I made my bed. I'm going to be going to sleep in a made bed
Yeah,
tonight.
I love it. And when you have four little ones that are constantly at your beck and call, getting those little accomplishments, those little wins can be altering for the day.
It is. And
Yeah.
one thing I will religiously preach is everything you do, your kids watch.
Hmm.
So my oldest 7-year-old carries a journal with her. She keeps a daily planner. So
Awesome.
she plans things out. She cracks me up. She wrote, we were looking at her to-do list and I was like, okay, well, what are you going to do today, babe? And she said, well, I have school today and I also have gymnastics and I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then we get a little bit further down and she has, I'm going to ask mom for a slushie after school. And that was just hysterical to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, I guess we're going to get a slushie then,
Heck yeah.
just because you planned it.
Hi.
Here we go.
Now we got everybody. Which one's the one that did the fish tank this morning? Or was it a team effort?
It's a team effort.
Yeah, it's a team
These
effort.
two are like, I don't even know.
Well, it's always a pleasure talking to you. You and I have texted. We've had a couple calls now. I've never asked you this, and I'm going to put you on the spot here because it wasn't one of the questions I prompted you with ahead of time. But I'm sure you have some books, podcasts, documentaries, anything that you could recommend to maybe a momtrepreneur. Oh, look at that, made up word.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah, parent like what was Betsy's new podcast is Parentrepreneur, I think. So
Um, so the one podcast episode I will recommend religiously is actually done by Chris James and Jesse Stanton.
okay,
It's called A Parent's Swan Song. And you can find it on YouTube. And if you can't find it, send me a message and I will send it to you.
okay,
But it was when I was first really getting a little bit into the nitty gritty, and I was very stressed trying to juggle these two. These two are my hooligans. Like
mm,
it is hard to keep up with them.
yeah,
And so I called Jesse, and I was just in tears. I was like, "Man, how do you do this?" And he's like, "There's no balance, Carlin.
yeah,
That's just something you kind of have to accept is with kids, you don't get to control their day like we think we do, but
yeah.
we don't." And the next day they had their podcast and they actually focused that specific episode around the concept of juggling parenthood and business.
Mm.
And that has been one of the most impactful podcasts I could recommend. As far as books go, a book that I like to read with my 7-year-olds is called The 7 Habits of a Happy Kid.
Okay.
And I really like it because it's short stories in, story form, but there's very powerful concepts behind it. And at the end of the story, there's actually prompt questions. So you can go
Okay.
through and say, hey, what did you notice? Like, what did you notice Sarah the skunk did for this, this, and this? And how do you see that she handled it?
Mm. And so they're able to take away from a story that's tailored to a child, they're able to take away big kind of key life and thing points, lessons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's incredible because you can see the transformations that it helps them with.
Yeah. When did you start reading that? Like at what age? Or is there even an age limit that you would?
I started reading that with them when they were about 5,
Okay.
but it's never too early to start reading with kids.
Yeah.
So
I
the
do.
sooner you can get those into their brain, the better it's going to be for their health.
We've been going, my 2.5-year-old, and I have been going through a geometry book a little by little. Just like, why not? He's listening, he's interested. Like, let's see if any of this sticks. Maybe it'll be good.
Yep.
Like, yeah. Um, I had what's the most exciting thing you've done lately? Or even maybe what's the most exciting thing kind of coming up on your time horizon?
I would say the most exciting thing we did recently was over the summer we went to Corpus Christi,
That's
Texas.
right.
And that is just such a memorable spot for me because that's the place that James and I first went. So our very first trip together, we went
Uh,
to Corpus Christi. But also there's a an aircraft carrier there called the Lexington. And given that you have military history, that's probably pretty familiar for you. But my parents were actually stationed on the Lexington when they were active
oh,
duty
wow.
in the Navy.
Okay.
And so that's just it's really special for me to be able to walk through with my kids and really show them and just see their faces light up when they see the aircrafts.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm not familiar with a lot of Air Force, Navy, a little bit of Army stuff I am. I should say I'm not even really that familiar with the Marine Corps stuff. I should be more familiar with it. But my mind is not what it used to be, or my memory is not what it used to be these days. I think, having the two, yeah, just two wild boys is it kind of plays on you. It's always a pleasure talking with you, Carlin. How would I guess what are you looking for right now? You're looking for more deals, or are you looking for more kind of coaching clients, or a little bit of both?
Both.
Both. Okay.
So if time management is something you're struggling with, if you're trying to learn how to build relationships, if you need to understand why social media is important, um, I would really want to speak about if the Growth Co would be a good fit.
Okay.
As far as what we're working on, honestly, I'm not opposed to looking anywhere at this point. We're looking for deals, cash or creative, whatever it is. Ultimately, we would like to stick below that 15 to 18% entry fee range.
Okay.
So that's ideal. But I would be happy to look at anything anywhere. Um, Multifamily, I think we're trying to stick 30 doors and lower.
Okay.
But again, I'm not opposed to looking.
Yeah, if it's a good deal and you're gonna make some money on it, it's worth taking a check out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'll link some stuff in the description of this video so people can reach out to you. But for those that kind of need to hear it audibly, like how's the best way for somebody to get in contact with you? Either about uh, you know, helping them out with managing their time and getting all those things buttoned down, or bringing a deal to you for you to look at.
So the best way to contact me, period, is going to be through Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
Um, I'd give out my phone number, but I get so many spam texts
Yeah.
from like also like those 5-digit phone numbers where you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, what is this?
Um, I don't even check my text messages unless someone lets me know that they're gonna text me. Um, if you're gonna send me a deal, again, contact me on Facebook, and
Okay.
then I'll send you my email so we can kind of get into communication through that. My email is shared with my husband, and he does most of our underwriting. So ultimately, the goal is to make sure he gets eyes on it too. So that's going to be the best way. If getting on a phone call is what you need, then I do have a Calendly link I can send out. And that's going to be the best way to actually get face-to-face time. Or if a phone call's best, then I can send you my phone number privately and we can get on a phone call that way.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you being here. I know you got your hands full, and like you said, it's not always a balance, but I think you're doing an excellent job. If you need a pat on the back, go ahead, pat. Get a pat on the back. Is there any
Yeah,
signing off little tidbits you want to throw out there, or
just
you
keep
ready to
moving
just
forward.
that's it?
That's what I've got. Just keep moving forward and don't look at things like this as stressful because I know I did for a long time, and sometimes you're gonna have to do a podcast with a kid on your lap.
Yeah, and
It's
I'm totally okay with that. I hope everybody out there is as well. I hope you got something of value here from Carlin. And like she said, if you're interested in either bringing her a deal or talking to her about coaching and seeing how that might help you out in your journey, reach out to her on Facebook. Her name is right there. I will also link her Facebook in the description for all you guys. It has been a pleasure. I will see you on the other side.